For me, that journey began long before I fully understood it. It began with the simple comfort of having someone who shares my days, my memories, and the steps of my future. Someone who has watched me grow, corrected me when I needed it, laughed with me in my best moments, and held my hand in the uncertain ones. That person is my sister, Sophia. Our bond has never been loud or dramatic. It has always been a quiet strength, one that doesn't demand attention but offers support whenever it is needed. With her I learned that love grows when it is patient, when it listens, and when it chooses kindness even when it is easier not to. And as we grew, so did the world around us. Responsibilities became clearer, expectations became heavier, yet through all of it, sisterhood became the place where courage felt natural. Not because we are perfect, but because we trust each other enough to keep trying, to keep learning, and to keep rising. There is a kind of freedom that comes from knowing you are not walking alone. A freedom that allows you to step forward with confidence, not only for yourself, but for something greater than you, and that is where love truly begins to soar, when it turns outward, when it becomes service, when it becomes purpose. Every generation inherits a sky of possibilities, but it is up to us to decide what we will contribute to it, what values we will carry with us, what kindness we will offer, and what legacy we hope to leave behind. And in that journey, the people who stand beside us are the wings that help us rise higher than we could on our own. I look at my sister and see not just family, but a companion who reminds me every day that leadership is not about standing above others. It is about staying connected, staying human, staying open. It is about remembering that love is strongest when shared and when grounded in empathy and responsibility. So to anyone listening, I want to say this: let your relationships, your friendships, your family, the bonds you choose, be the place where your heart learns to take flight. Let them guide you toward becoming someone who leads with integrity, listens with humility, and acts with compassion. Because when love learns to fly, it carries far more than emotion. It carries hope, it carries unity, it carries the strength to build a future shaped not just by ambition, but by the values that truly matter. There is a kind of strength that does not announce itself with noise or force. It moves gently, almost unnoticed, shaping the spaces between people, guiding their actions, and softening the weight of responsibility. It is a strength made not of power, but of trust, not of demands, but of shared purpose. And when I think about the love that grows this way, I am reminded of how quietly it has woven itself into the moments of my life. Love in its truest form is never hurried. It is patient in a way that allows two people to understand each other without fear or hesitation. It listens more than it speaks. It studies more than it shakes. It sees who you are becoming and stands beside you, not to control your path, but to support the courage it takes to walk it. It grows not from grand gestures, but from the simple consistency of knowing someone believes in you. And that trust, deep, steady, and unwavering, becomes the ground on which everything meaningful is built. From a young age, I learned that trust is not something granted instantly. It forms slowly, shaped by moments that reveal who we are and who we hope to be. It takes honesty even when truth feels delicate. It takes loyalty even in the face of uncertainty. And it takes humility, because trust cannot exist where pride stands too tall. Through trust, love becomes a gentle but powerful force, one that encourages you to rise, to improve, to act with intention. But love does not grow in isolation. It unfolds through shared purpose, through the understanding that what binds people together is greater than any individual ambition. A shared purpose gives direction to affection. It gives expression to the values that two people hold in common, and when that purpose is rooted in service, in responsibility, or in something greater than the self, love expands in the most graceful way. It becomes a force that not only comforts but inspires. There are moments when the future feels wide and uncertain, when expectations settle heavily on the shoulders, and when the world asks more than we feel ready to give. In those moments, shared purpose becomes a kind of compass. It reminds us why we step forward, why we learn, why we grow. It connects every choice to something meaningful. When love is guided by purpose, fear becomes lighter because it is carried together. Responsibility becomes less of a burden and more of a bond. Shared purpose has a quiet way of strengthening love. It transforms companionship into partnership. It turns affection into action. It teaches that two people moving forward with aligned hearts can achieve far more than one person walking alone. I have seen how understanding, when paired with a common goal, creates a rhythm that makes even the most challenging moments manageable. It becomes a reminder that no matter what difficulties arise, there is always a reason to continue, always a direction that keeps us grounded. Love that grows through trust and purpose also teaches resilience. It shows that gentleness is not weakness, but steadiness. It reveals that care is not fragility, but dedication, and it reminds us that being strong does not require being unbreakable, it requires being connected. When someone believes in you, you learn to believe in yourself. When someone walks beside you, you learn to walk with confidence. And in that shared journey, love becomes not just a feeling, but a foundation. I have learned that love is not measured by intensity, but by consistency. It is found in the quiet ways people show up for one another, in the support they offer without being asked, in the patience they extend when mistakes are made, in the encouragement they give when doubt appears. These moments, small as they may seem, are the threads that hold everything together. They form the trust that allows love to grow without fear. Even in times of distance or change, love rooted in trust does not falter. It adapts, it waits, it understands, and shared purpose ensures that even as paths evolve, the connection remains clear. It becomes a guiding presence, reminding us of who we are and who we strive to be. It carries us through transitions and gives meaning to every step forward. As life demands more of us, the love shaped by trust and purpose becomes even more essential. It keeps us balanced when the world expects composure. It gives warmth when responsibility feels cold. It reminds us that strength is not solitary, and that leadership is not about standing above others, but standing with them. It calls us to serve with sincerity and to grow with humility. And through all of this, it gives our lives depth, direction, and dignity. There is something profoundly beautiful about love that grows this way. It does not seek to possess or to impress, it seeks to uplift. It does not speak only of emotions, but of commitments. It does not fade when challenged, it deepens, and in the gentle way it rises, it teaches us to rise as well. In truth, the love that grows through trust and shared purpose becomes far more than a relationship. It becomes a way of moving through the world, a way of making choices, of forming connections, of giving meaning to our actions. It becomes a reminder that we are most fulfilled when we live not only for ourselves, but with and for others. It shows that even the smallest acts of care can shape something lasting, and it teaches that the strongest bonds are those strengthened by intention, understanding, and devotion. As we step into the future, this kind of love guides us. It keeps us steady when change feels overwhelming. It reminds us that we are part of something larger than our doubts or fears. And it encourages us to offer the same trust, purpose, and gentleness to the world that we have been fortunate enough to receive. Love grows best where it is trusted. It flies farthest where it is shared. And when it carries purpose, it becomes a quiet force capable of shaping lives, strengthening hearts, and guiding generations towards something brighter. There are moments in life when courage feels distant, almost like a horizon we can see but cannot yet reach. Yet there are also people who make that horizon feel closer, who give strength to our quieter selves, and who help us step into roles we once thought were too large for us. For me, that kind of courage has always found its roots in the space shared between sisters, soft, familiar, and quietly transformative. Sisterhood does not arrive instantly. It grows, layer by layer, formed through shared days, shared silences, shared secrets, and shared responsibilities. And without demanding anything in return, it becomes a space where courage takes its earliest breath. It is a place where the heart can be honest without fear of being misunderstood. It is where vulnerability becomes a starting point instead of a weakness, and where strength is nurtured rather than expected. From childhood, I learned that courage is rarely loud. It does not always reveal itself in the traditional sense, with bold declarations or decisive steps. Often, it is found in the stillness before action, in the steadying presence of someone who knows you better than you know yourself. A sister sees your doubts and your hopes long before you put them into words. And in that simple recognition, courage begins to grow. There is a certain kind of bravery that is only possible when you know someone is walking beside you. It is not about relying on them to solve every challenge, but about trusting that you do not face difficulties alone. Sisterhood becomes a mirror in which you see not only who you are today, but who you are capable of becoming. It reminds you that fear does not diminish your potential. It only asks to be met with companionship and understanding. With a sister, courage is not demanded, it is encouraged. It blossoms through gentle reminders, through quiet confidence, through the consistent reassurance that you are enough, even on days when you doubt yourself. It is found in moments of laughter that lighten the burden of responsibility, and in moments of honesty that reveal the depth of your shared bond. These small exchanges build an inner strength that no external praise or recognition can replace. Sisterhood also teaches the courage to listen. It shapes the ability to hear truth without defensiveness, to value perspective even when it challenges your own. It teaches humility in the most graceful way, reminding you that learning is an act of bravery and that openness is a sign of maturity. Through the voice of a sister, courage becomes something compassionate, not rigid, something that grows with understanding, not pride. And then there is the courage to grow. Life changes, responsibilities evolve, and expectations rise. Through each transition, the presence of a sister becomes a grounding force. Even when paths diverge or circumstances pull in different directions, the connection remains a guiding thread. It reminds you that change is not something to fear, but something to embrace with steady resolve. In this way, sisterhood becomes a bridge between who you were, who you are, and who you are becoming. There are also moments when courage must be quiet, moments when the responsibilities ahead carry more weight, and the world expects more certainty than you feel capable of giving. In these moments, sisterhood becomes a sanctuary. It offers a space to breathe, to question, to reflect without judgment, and from that stillness, courage gathers itself again. But sisterhood does more than comfort, it strengthens purpose. Standing together, two hearts can face challenges with a clarity that might be difficult alone. There is a shared sense of direction that forms, a mutual understanding of what matters and what must be protected. This shared purpose does not diminish individuality, it enriches it. It allows each person to grow into their role with confidence, knowing that support remains constant. Courage born from sisterhood is also a courage rooted in love, steady, unconditional, and profoundly deep. It does not seek recognition. It does not fade when circumstances shift. It stays, quietly shaping each decision, each step, each moment of growth. And because it comes from familiarity and trust, it becomes one of the most enduring forms of strength. I have learned that courage does not always look like standing firm. Sometimes it looks like leaning gently on someone who understands. Sometimes it looks like admitting uncertainty or asking for guidance. or allowing someone else's strength to fill the gaps in your own. In these moments, sisterhood becomes an anchor, reminding you that it is all right not to have all the answers, as long as you continue moving forward with sincerity. Even in silence, courage can be felt. It appears in the glance that says you can, in the hand extended without being asked, in the familiar presence that steadies your breath before a difficult step. These small, unspoken gestures become the foundation of bravery. And because they are built over years of shared experience, they endure through every change life brings. As we grow older, the meaning of sisterhood expands. It becomes not just companionship, but partnership. Not just familiarity, but purpose. It teaches that courage is not something we must summon alone. It is something that can be nurtured together. It reminds us that we are capable of more when our hearts remain united, and that support is not a sign of dependence, but a testament to the power of connection. And perhaps the most beautiful truth of all is this: courage born from sisterhood is contagious. It inspires others to believe in themselves, to face their challenges with grace, and to seek strength in community rather than isolation. It shows that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the presence of trust. In the end, sisterhood shapes us in ways that continue long after moments have passed. It teaches us to stand confidently, to speak truthfully, to act with purpose, and to lead with compassion. It becomes a reminder that courage is not something distant or unreachable. It is something nurtured in the relationships that know us best, and through this bond, courage does not simply appear. It is born tenderly and powerfully, carrying us toward the future with hearts far braver than we ever imagined on our own. There is a quiet truth that reveals itself with time: no one rises alone. Even when achievements appear personal, even when the world applauds a single name, the strength behind that moment is almost always built from shared values, those steady foundations shaped by family, by community, and by the people who remind us who we are when the path ahead becomes overwhelming. And as I have grown, I have learned that real progress, the kind that matters beyond a single moment, is born not from individual success, but from the principles we hold in common. Shared values have a way of giving direction to ambition. They take the desire to succeed and transform it into something meaningful, something lasting. Without them, any accomplishment risks becoming hollow, disconnected from purpose. But when values guide our steps, when integrity shapes decisions, when empathy frames action, when commitment anchors responsibility, success becomes something deeper than recognition. It becomes a contribution. I have come to understand that shared values are the compass that keeps us aligned, even when challenges try to distract or divide. They remind us that what we pursue should not serve only ourselves, but also the people who walk beside us, the ones who trust us, and the ones who will inherit the consequences of our choices. Values create unity, and unity creates the space where we can rise together, stronger, steadier, and more grounded. There is a unique strength in moving forward with others who hold the same principles close to their hearts. It creates a rhythm that is almost instinctive, a silent agreement that each step is taken with respect for the collective journey, that unity does not erase individuality, instead it elevates it. Each person brings their own talents, their own perspective, their own experiences. But shared values allow those differences to blend into harmony, forming something greater than any single effort could achieve on its own. Flying higher is not about surpassing others, it is about lifting one another. It is about choosing progress that benefits more than the self. It is about recognizing that leadership is not measured by distance from others but by connection to them. And when values are shared, leadership becomes not a position, but a responsibility carried with humility and purpose. There is also a kind of clarity that comes from acting according to what we believe in. It clears away the noise of comparison and competition. It reminds us that success is not about being first, but about being true. When decisions are made with honesty, kindness, and respect, the path may not always be easy, but it is always meaningful. It becomes a journey shaped not by the desire to shine alone, but by the desire to contribute something genuine. Shared values also teach resilience. When challenges come, and they always do, it is the principles we share with those around us that give us the courage to continue. They remind us why we endure difficulties, why we push forward even when progress feels